Hello! Welcome to another episode. I always have to rummage through my brain and figure out what I want to talk about because I don't want to just rant. Don't get me wrong, I actually don't mind ranting when I do these videos, especially if it's something related to the topic at the very least. I want to try to make the cohesion at least pertain to the topic I'm trying to talk about. So I usually try to think of one specific thing to talk about. And I'm saying that again and again. But that's what I try to do. So sometimes I try to think of what would be interesting to communicate to my audience, the 3 people that watch this. I actually don't mind. It's kind of, like I've said before, it's kind of a way for me to vent and talk. It's cathartic for me. But yeah, no, I tend to want to talk about one specific topic, and sometimes I'll go off on a tangent, but it's usually about that topic. The hardest part about figuring out what topic is sometimes I want to talk about current events. For instance, all the shit that Trump is doing right now, I want to talk about that. And it's not that I don't think I should, it's just I also want to be educated about some of the stuff that I talk about. So I don't want to just make a video shitting on Trump. I know I made one not too long ago kind of where I was just shitting on Trump. But if I wanted to make a video where I'm shitting on Trump, it would be every single video I would make in between the other videos I want to make, because that's just how much I do not like that man, if you can call him a man. So I try not to do current events too much. Not that I don't want to, but current events usually inquire some sort of familiarity with what you're discussing. And I don't know everything, and I'm willing to admit that. I don't know everything. So if I start talking about something say a hospital got bombed and I wanted to talk about that, I want to know what I'm talking about. I'm not a journalist. I could be. I've thought about it. I actually do want to do interviews with people. I've been meaning to ask my teacher friend if he'd be down to spend an hour or something together one day, just the two of us, and I interview him. I've always thought that'd be kind of a fun thing to do. And there's other people I want to interview. I kind of want to interview my grandpa and just see if he'd be down for that. I don't know how likely he would be to want to do that, but it'd be cool. I've always wanted to try doing that. But picking topics and stuff isn't always easy. Sometimes I want to share stuff about my life too, and I only want to give away so much information about my life. I don't want to completely just tell everyone everything personal about me. And then there's certain topics I need to avoid just for personal or privacy reasons, and just to be careful and cautious and not state stuff out loud that could get me in trouble or fired, for my job, for instance. I know I can kind of be a brutalist when it comes to what I talk about. I tend to speak my piece. I try not to offend people. I really try really hard not to say things that are going to offend. You're always going to upset somebody with what you say, but I do my best to avoid it as much as possible, if you know what I mean. I've made videos before that I'm oh, I really liked what I talked about, and I feel like I talked a lot about it, but I went off on a tangent about XYZ, and I might have said more than I really wanted to say, or might have said stuff I don't really want to say. And since I don't want these videos to seem too manufactured, I tend to delete those videos, and maybe I'll come back to that subject at another time and talk about it again at another time. That's just kind of how my brain works. So I guess the topic of this video is just coming up with ideas, just the process that goes into speaking to an audience. if you haven't watched any of my videos before and you're watching this one, the reason I got this idea is because I have a teacher from high school that I still keep in contact with because I think of him like a mentor. He's definitely a friend, but he's also a mentor. Because I want to learn from him. He's got a lot of knowledge and a lot of wisdom. He's really smart, and I just want to learn as much as I can from him. So I tend to try to hang on to everything he talks about when he talks about something that's, important or knowledgeable or skillful or intriguing or educational or what have you. But he started making videos like what I'm doing on his channel. I need to ask him if I can link his channel. He's way more educated than me. He's way more fluent with what he says. The process of pulling it from his brain, speaking it into word is a lot better and more, what's the term? But it's better than what I can do. And he doesn't have the, at least I don't think he does. He hasn't told me he does. He doesn't have the stoppage my brain does. What I mean by that is, I'm very socially awkward. That's why I like doing these in my car. I could do them at home. I've wanted to do them at home, even in my own studio. But my studio is attached to a house. And I don't know, the people that are in the house, they make me self-conscious. So I tend not to do a lot of things that I would normally feel comfortable doing. And that's hard to deal with. But so I tend to do these in my car because it's half an hour or so that I get to have just to myself. When I'm doing deliveries for work, this is the perfect time for me to talk about things I want to talk about, because it's just me in the road for 30 minutes and then 30 minutes back if I want to make a second video. Because if you watched any of my videos, you'll know that sometimes I make 2 or 3 videos a day. For a minute there, what I was doing is I was just making more videos in the day and then posting them the next day so I'd have content for the next day. Because for a minute there, I was thinking I should just make a video every day, even if it's 5 minutes long. But I decided that isn't as easy as I think it is. I was doing it for a minute, but it just got hard to do. So I can't imagine what it's like for YouTubers that are constantly having to churn stuff out all the time, but just thinking of things I want to discuss, thinking of things I want to talk about, what I feel is important. And one of the things I want to do with this video is to help people kind of figure things out, or maybe talk about something people don't really want to talk about, kind of challenge people as I've been challenged in my life. But yeah, I gotta get some gas and stuff, so I'll finish this video in a minute, so you're gonna see a weird cut. One of these days, I might do it Saturday, since I have a long drive ahead of me on Saturday, about an hour and a half. I want to pull out one of my really nice cameras that I've bought and do one of these videos with that. So I could do a 4K video, and I have the microphones to go with it too. So I could put a lapel mic on my seatbelt holder. So sound is better too. Also, welcome back. You probably noticed a weird cut. I did warn you about the weird cut. I'm back. I took my break. But yeah, no, I like talking. It's cathartic. It's I don't get to talk. I don't want to say that. I feel like when I talk, people tend to get annoyed with me, or just, I don't know. I guess I could be annoying, so I tend not to talk too much. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird for thinking that, but sometimes at work, or sometimes when I'm hanging out with my friends on Saturdays, I'll like say something and thinking I'm trying to contribute, and they all just kind of look at me weird, and I'm like, well, I guess I'll shut up now. I guess nobody wants to hear me speak. That's another reason why these videos are cathartic, is because I kind of get to talk and people aren't interrupting me, which is nice. The only person that really interrupts me in these videos is myself when my stream of conscious decides to go the other way. Like how I didn't even realize we had another eclipse. I guess there was one yesterday. I didn't even know anything about it. That's part of not having social media too, you know, is not having the ability to know everything. And I don't watch the news, I don't listen to the radio, so I can't get the news through the radio. So I miss things, you know, there's things I just don't hear. And that's okay. But that's another reason why current events are hard to talk about, because I'm not on social media, I don't listen to the news, so unless I have browsed Reddit or one of my friends sends me something, I don't really see what's happening in the world. So another reason why I'm a little less knowledgeable about everything. That's what I was going to do today. Speaking of myself interrupting myself, the Spirit Halloween store finally opened up here in my town, and I want to go check it out. Then I got to go to Costco, so I'm going to do that. I want to go to Costco. I don't need it, but I really want it. Apparently Costco has like this jumbo plush capybara, and oh my god, I want it. I also want the jumbo plush Eevee that GameStop has, but it's so expensive, man. Like, I don't know how much the capybara is. I'm guessing the capybara is probably as expensive as the Eevee at GameStop, because the Eevee at GameStop is like $50, I believe. It's giant, man. It's the size of like probably a golden retriever. I want it. I don't need it. I don't have anywhere to put it. I guess it could sit on my bed. See, I've also thought about talking about that. Like, some of the stuff I want to talk about, I do kind of wish I had a back and forth. Because I'm a collector to some degree. Like, not somebody that's going to go spend $2,000 on something per se every single time it drops. Like, for instance, I love Lego. I'm not happy with their pricing. I'm also a huge Lord of the Rings fan, and my favorite location in Lord of the Rings is Minas Tirith. So imagine my surprise when Lego's like, we're gonna come out with Lego Minas Tirith, and it's this really cool giant set. And I'm like, oh, I'd spend $400 on that. Oh, it's $900? Oh, no. But like, I have plushes and action figures of Pokemon, because I do like collecting. I usually only collect the stuff that I actually like. I'm not gonna get like every single Pokemon that exists. If my partner ever wanted to collect ones that I didn't have, or something, to collect the whole Pokédex, then sure. But for the most part, I'm just gonna get the ones I want, which is like the Evolutions, Torchic, a couple others like Piplup, maybe, Hoot, I think. But that's stuff I want to talk about too. You know, there's all kinds of stuff swimming around in my brain, and I feel like I don't get to really chat about everything I want to chat about all the time, and I can, but not everybody that I talk to wants to talk about the same thing or knows anything about the thing that I'm chatting about, you know? So I tend to kind of just stay in my zone, talk about what my friends want to talk about, and just enjoy the conversation as much as I possibly can. Which is fine, it is what it is. But that's why these videos end up being really cathartic for me, because I can talk about just random nonsense that most people wouldn't really want to talk about, because there's something for everyone, right? I mean, if you went through my catalog of videos, you'd probably find something that you're remotely interested in. Maybe you wouldn't, maybe somehow you wouldn't, but my goal is to find something for all kinds of conversation, things I want to talk about. I do want to talk about current events. I do want to talk about how much I don't like our government, and especially the person running it. I do want to talk about local stuff, and I do want to talk about sports and movies and what have you. Like, this is stuff that I absolutely want to chat about. For various reasons, too. Some of these reasons are more because these are things that I feel very strongly about. Other because I just want to vent. I want to release my frustrations with what's occurring, like Trump, for instance. Things like that, though, are kind of hard to talk about in some ways, because, like I mentioned earlier, if I were to make a video on every time Trump pissed me off, I'd have like 1 million videos. And I don't want that to be what this channel is all about, right? I don't want 90% of my videos to be purely about my disdain for somebody that exists. Because then I can make more videos. There are absolutely people in this world that I truly feel are deplorable human beings and should not have any power whatsoever. Another one, for example, like Stephen Miller, Elon Musk, people like that, I just do not think should have platforms and stuff. But I could make like 50 videos on each of them easily, just talking about each and every little thing that I don't like about them. But that's not what I want this video or this channel to be about. This channel was originally intended to be music. Like, I started as a music channel. And for some of you that have watched my videos in the past, I know they don't get the most views, but there are people that I know that do talk about what I post. And for others that maybe I don't personally talk to, that might see these and might have seen previous videos, I used to have like over probably 1,300 songs on my YouTube. I recorded a lot of music. I was probably pumping out like 12 songs every weekend there for a minute. And then when I was unemployed, I was pumping out a lot of music during that time. All of it made by hand. Like, I was not using AI for the music. But before I knew the ramifications of AI and generative AI, I should say generative AI, before I understood how detrimental that was and how bad it was and what have you, my thumbnails were made with AI. Because I can't afford to have an artist draw me something every single time. And I'm not a good enough artist. So I did use AI to create thumbnails. And once I learned about how bad that was and what I was doing to the art community, I deleted all my music off YouTube. I'm not even joking. I literally went out of my way one day. I just spent hours click and delete on every single video on my YouTube that had anything remotely AI in it. And by AI, I mean generative AI. And then I noticed at one point that my channel logo was still AI generated. And I'm like, well, shoot. So eventually, when I had some spare money, I hit up an artist and I'm like, hey, I think their information's still on that post too. If you want to get art drawn by them, they're really good. I hit them up and I'm like, hey, I need this made by human hands. I've realized the error of what this is, and I want this to be generated by a human. Would you be able to draw this human? And then we made some edits to it to make it more unique and less looking like a computer designed it, you know. And that's what I have for my channel profile picture right now, is a human-made piece of art. Like, I could make a whole video in AI, and I probably will. Because I attribute AI the same way I attribute my atheism. It's easier to just say I do not like AI. Because for the most part, I don't. There's a lot about AI I do not like. But there's a lot of nuance to that. A lot of stuff that I really could sit down and get into about how I truly feel about AI. Same thing with my atheism. I'm not technically an atheist. I am more so agnostically leaning atheist, where I don't believe that there is a God, but I can't prove there isn't one either. But until I have some semblance of whether or not there is, I'm going to choose that there's not one. So instead of saying stuff like that all the time when people ask me, I just say, yeah, I'm an atheist. It's just easier to say I'm an atheist. Because for the most part, yes, I am. I'm technically an atheist. Whereas I technically don't like AI. It's just easier to say it the short term. And if people want elaboration and they're nice about it, I'm happy to elaborate. If they're a dick about it, then nah, fuck them. But if they genuinely want to understand, like, why I'm an atheist, I'm happy to explain, like, hey, I'm not technically an atheist. I just have this and this and this. And then some people will ask me, they'll ask about, like, the church and if I'm willing to learn about Jesus. I'm like, I was a pretty devout Catholic for over 10 years. Like, I'm good. I've been there, done that. So yeah. I mean, if I also don't discount stuff. Like, maybe 10 years down the road, I'll have learned that all this will be for naught. Like for AI, for instance, maybe I'm completely wrong with how I feel about AI. I'm perfectly fine learning that. At the moment, no. I should just make a whole video on how I feel about AI. Because I don't want to waste... I don't want to waste your time talking in this video about something completely different, because I do that. I go off on tangents. But just choosing topics, and now that I've found another one for another video, is difficult. I want to talk about things, and I don't want to do like I do sometimes. Like you could probably notice in this video, sometimes I'll start saying something and it'll be like, I'll add those filler words and phrases and sounds and stuff. I don't necessarily want to do that, but at the same time, me personally, I don't care when I do that, because as I've mentioned, I want these videos to feel like they're from the heart, that I'm speaking my piece without caring about a script or anything. I want to be able to talk about the subject I'm talking about without being limited. If I want to go off on a tangent about it or something akin to it, I want to be able to do that. That's just what I want to do in these videos. I don't want them to feel manufactured. And that's not to diss on people that do formats like this and have scripts. Like, all power to you if that's what you want to do. That's just not what I want to do. And if that means that my channel never takes off, or not a lot of people watch my videos or something, it is what it is. I'm comfortable with that. I've made a bunch of these videos a while back that I ended up deleting because for XYZ reasons, they either weren't getting views, I wasn't feeling happy with them, etc. I'm perfectly content with that fact. Like, I know not everything is going to be perfect. I saw a meme earlier today, actually. It was kind of funny. Somebody was like, haha, you failed, but guess what? You succeeded because you failed, because at least you tried. I'm like, that's deep. And that's just how it is with making YouTube, right? Like, even if I put in effort, even if all my videos were 4K and I used DJI mics up my anus or something to make sound or speak or something, like, there's still a chance I'm gonna fail. I could put in all that effort. I can get like a Red Magic camera, or even like a Universal Studios camera, and videotape myself and make it seem like all cinematic and stuff, and I could still fail. One of the YouTubers I watch, I can't think of the name of his channel right now, curse me. I remember when I first started watching his videos, they were just really cheesy skits, you know, with really crappy just set design and stuff. But it was his, right? It was fun. He put in effort and stuff. And then he took off, and now he's got like full-on green screen studios, and he's superimposing himself in the video games and movies and stuff like he was actually there. It's incredible to watch him grow. But then there's other channels I've watched where they did that from the get-go. They had all this equipment and stuff, and then they just disappeared. It happens. Sometimes you succeed, sometimes you fail. And I'm content with failure. It's not easy. So I guess I shouldn't technically say I'm content with failure. Failure is an obstacle we all deal with on the path to success. And even sometimes succeeding is failing, and failing is succeeding. What I mean by that is sometimes it's okay to give and take, right? Sometimes you have to let people win in order to win yourself. I know that's hard to kind of make sense of, but best example I could think of right now is, say you're arguing with your partner, and in order to make them happy, even if it's something petty, you just need to let it go to make them happy, you know, because it probably is something petty. I've had arguments with friends before where I'm like, this is stupid, why are we arguing about this? And they're like, you know, yeah. Or I'll just take the back seat and just let them win the argument, depending on what it is. Because I'm like, you know what, sometimes it's better to just make somebody happy. That's a real success, rather than trying to be right all the time. Depends on what it is. There's nuance. That's another thing I used to talk about in all my videos, is nuance. I should change my channel name to Mr. Nuance. Actually, I don't know. That might not be the best name change. That might sound like a double entendre or something. But I do think nuance is important. I think there's a lot of nuance in what we say and do every day. Two things can be true. Well, multiple things can be true. Do I dislike the state of AI right now? Yes. Is there a lot of use cases for it even still? Yes. Like, I do genuinely believe once you start bottling yourself up into one thing rather than multiple things, you tend to get lost and forget that you can make mistakes, you can make errors, you can do good one day and do bad another day. You can piss people off even if you don't mean to. Like, we're all capable of change, we're all capable of growth, we're all capable of learning, and if you forget that you can do all these things, you tend to forget that you're a human. And not to say that everything is forgivable, there are some things that are absolutely unforgivable, but that's also subjective, right? Like, a lot of things in life aren't objective, they're subjective. Like, one of the things I always found funny, when I would start a new job, the dress code would always say, like, subject to approval or something. Or they'll say, this is subjective, or subjective tattoos. I'm like, subjective to who? Because if you're subjecting it to, like, the common population doesn't give a shit anymore about certain parts of dress code. Now, if you're talking about some old fogies behind a desk that have never seen a floor in their life, like, yeah, they're obviously not going to like things like tattoos and long hair and piercings and all kinds of jazz like that. If you're asking subjective to, like, fellow employees, other employees don't give a shit either, as long as you're not being, like, offensive. But offense is also subjective. But, again, that's why I imply that there's a lot of nuance. I think if you're wearing perfume or cologne that smells like a bathhouse that just had 50 people come through it or something, then yeah, you know, maybe that's a little too much. But, you know, if you're like me and you just happen to be a dude with longer hair and I'm growing mine out, like, that subjective is just whatever. Like, that's stupid to put to a subjective degree. See, I went off on my tangent again. This video is about topics for videos, and I just started tangenting about nuance and long hair and shit. That's what I like doing. I really like doing that. But yeah, deciding what I want to make videos on is tough, because I also don't want to talk about things people have already talked about and say the same stuff. You know, like, I do have my thoughts and opinions on certain things, but I don't want to make the same thing everybody else is making. I also try not to do trends. I know if you want to get popular and if you want people to see your stuff and kind of be in the spotlight, you kind of have to do trends. I'm not about that life. If that means I never get popular or famous, that's perfectly fine. I've been living a pretty fairly decent life for the most part without being popular or famous. So I'm not going to lose sleep over that. Yeah, there's not a lot more to say. I think maybe I'll talk about some personal stuff here and there once in a while. Maybe I'll do like a story time with Mark. I'll just kind of reminisce over events in my life that I've encountered, because I used to go on vacations with my grandpa every year. I was a little privileged to be able to do that. So I have a lot of stories, a lot of experiences. I worked security for over 10 years, so I have plenty of experiences doing security. I'm not going to talk a lot about my current job, because for the sake of not implying too much with my current job, so I don't get fired, of course. But I guess I'm the only one that stopped. Got a little distracted. School bus rolled up. It had its lights on, but it didn't have the stop sign. It kind of drove past me, so I was already past it, and then flipped up its stop sign, and the car coming from the opposite direction decided to still go past the school bus. That's cool. I was a little hesitant to even keep rolling, but the bus had already gone past me, so I was like, well, the bus is already past me. The stop sign doesn't really affect me, I don't think. Nobody got hurt. That's that's also something else I want to talk about one of these days, is my views on public transportation. Got a lot of things. I need to make a list. I'm really bad at making lists, but I need to make a list of all the things I actually want to talk about. So maybe one of these days I'll do that. That could be an actual use case of AI for me, honestly. I could have AI read my videos somehow and make lists for me about what I want to talk about. I don't know, maybe. Adios, meal. I lost my train of thought, but the video is pretty much over, so unless you have any questions, I won't be able to answer them anyways unless you ask them in the comments. So, other than that, toodaloo.